Welcome, Sojourners. You have found yourself a cozy place here at Sojourners Awake. I'm Jonathan, and this is our production of The Bookish and the Brave. Like you, the Sojourners are on a mission, and they face conflict, and sometimes even tragedy. You never know when tragedy will strike, as we will see in this upcoming and conclusion of the episode of last week's Fire in the Swamp. The Sojourners are a assembled strike team. The strike team is composed of Dahren'L, the warden, and his visiting friend Abel Stouthart. Along their side is the refugee Milo, Hinderfellow, and of course the mysterious Oleander Pierce. If you are interested in more background on Oleander Pierce, you can find his story at www.storiesbysarahDanielle.com. Pay him a visit today. The strike team is moving through the swamp, surviving its dangers, and getting ever close to discovering the fate of Choral Master Humessa. What will they find along the way? And we know it will certainly not be without incident. And so for now, our story continues. Oleander and Abel, you progress towards the fresh spring of water. Milo and Dahren'L, left in the swamp by yourself, with the other two out of sight. To what do you pay attention to, and how do you proceed?
Milo feels pretty confident. He knows where we're going now, and so he's just kind of casually standing there, trying to find the driest spot to stand. And he's looking at Dahren'L, sizing him up a little bit, just trying to figure out who he is. I may say something like, "So, how'd you become a warden at the ball top?" And well, it kind of seems to fit your personality, but do you enjoy it?
I do, actually. I've been a warden at Bald Top for a few weeks, perhaps a little more than a month, and it's been nice. It's been a bit of as you say, a job. I find myself more or less passing through. I don't plan to stay my entire time there, but they need wardens, people who will help with security, so I have the background, and I felt like my skills were most useful to them there.
Well, I hope that works out well for you. I'll be hanging out ball top for a little while, but my life seems to take me other places pretty often and pretty quickly. I'll be collecting my gold, and that should get me moving on. But for now, it looks like we're stuck together, so I'll tolerate you. Hopefully, you can tolerate me.
We're both still standing, are we not?
For now.
Tell me, Milo, what is your story? Why are you at Bald Top?
Well, let's just say I was helping clean out the noble houses in Bochen, and Lord Basile didn't appreciate what I was doing, so I had a few too many people looking for me, and leaving dead bodies is not helpful, so I decided to leave. I made my way to Bald Top to let it cool down a little bit. Hopefully, Lord Basile will forget about me, and I can move on my way.
Does a Basile ever forget about anything?
That's a good question. I don't know that for sure, but clearly, he's now in control, so I don't want to be where he's in control. That's for certain.
Well, anyway, the affairs of his doing have been quite the hardship on the land and its people.
It worked out pretty well for me, but certainly not good for those other folks. You're right about that.
Well, we all tend to make our ways somehow.
Mosquito bites you on the neck, Dahren'L.
Slaps it. Can't say that I'm used to this type of land, although I have traveled through many areas.
Oh, this is not my favorite either, but we don't have too much further to go now. A little bit more swamp. Hopefully those other two can stay out of the muck, and we'll be there shortly.
Speaking of the other two, you seem to be a bit harsh toward Abel. Why is that?
Well, I tend to spend my time with folks that can take care of themselves, and he doesn't seem to be able to take care of himself. I don't have a whole lot of patience for dead weight, and he's quite a bit of dead weight.
Well, he's pretty lively to me. Tend to try to take care of those who have been placed under my care, and he seems pretty capable if you get to know him.
Well, so far he hasn't proved that, but let's hope so.
I'm sure you will be surprised.
Either way.
Either way.
Oleander and Abel, you push past long hanging vines that are draping from the high trees in the swamp. And indeed, you hear the sound of rushing water beyond those vines. Looking, you see the cleanest possible water in this area. A small river, fed by the hungry rains. You're able to wash off the toxins and the poisons that are clinging to your skin. What do you pay attention to, and how do you proceed?
I think the first thing I'm paying attention to is just getting clean. So, in the water, rinsing off the hair, shaking out the mud. But when I stand up, I'm going to do a cursory glance and see if there's anything reptilian around. It's an unfortunate habit I've picked up.
I would say in this part of the world there is a reptile easily within distance. A python-like snake coiled around a tree, having just satisfied its hunger. It lies there lazily, unblinking eyes looking back at you.
It's always one. I actually just casted a salute and say nothing else. And then, makes me think of that comment that Abel made. I'm not a snake, you know, I'll say to him as I'm coming out of the water.
But Abel, he's just too mad at himself to even pick up anything that's going on around him. He wants to be proof himself helpful to Dahren'L. He doesn't want to be dead weight. He's been that before in his life, and so he's washing off this poison, and he is looking around for something to eat because he just thinks, I must be hungry. That's why I'm being useless. And up on what Oleander was saying about not being a snake, and yeah, you're right. He told me not to judge a book by its cover. Seems we're in a library and all, but yeah, I apologize about that. I'm not used to being dead weight.
Well, I don't think you're dead weight. We haven't had anything to be dead weight about yet.
Yeah, I see that you're pretty resistant to this poison too. It was good that our friends didn't get in it.
Yeah, well, sometimes luck favors me. It's a benefit to being cursed, if you can call it a benefit. He'll offer his hand out to help him kind of pull out of the water as a friendly gesture. I've known Milo for a long time. Don't take what he says to heart.
I appreciate that.
But also, maybe don't get too close to him either in a fight.
I don't think that guy lets anyone get close to him.
Just friendly advice. Let's get back before Dahren'L has a panic attack.
Abel and Oleander, you come back clean, and having washed off the residue of this poison, you recognize that your skin is slightly burned but already beginning to heal. Milo, as you said before, you know the location is just 150 feet away. Suddenly, having known this area before, you recognize a sign that is crudely hanging upon a tree. Passing glance, it looks like just another branch that is broken over, but you see witches' carvings onto this branch. A warning sign, or a welcoming sign, depending on who you are. Nurse Regina, a witch who lives in these swamps, who entertains people who are down on their luck. You suddenly realize to progress forward would be cross into her territory and most likely her front door. How then would you proceed?
Okay, everyone. See this branch up here? This branch says it's time for us to put our big boy pants on because the next part of our journey might not be quite so friendly. Keep your wits about you. We have no choice. Let's move forward. And he pulls out his swords.
Dahren'L,
Looking back to Abel, he's gonna kind of in a low tone. Are you ready for this, Abel?
Yeah, I won't let you down.
Don't worry about letting me down, my friend.
Okay. Yeah, let's do this.
Oleander taking up the rear.
Is there brush cover that I might be able to stealth on, or are we going to be forced to be in the open?
Oh, there is plenty of cover.
I'm going to silently message Dahren'L and say, now don't panic, but I'm going to try to take the quiet route. And I'm going to attempt to move through the underbrush swiftly and quietly without being seen, just in case.
You may hang back a little bit. Make a stealth check.
Oh, the rogue fails. What's it going to be, a 9 for my stealth check?
Not quite a 10, a 9. Milo, you are pushing towards the location of this scrying beacon as it's getting louder and louder and louder and finally comes to a rapid hum that gets closer and closer together until it's just one solid beep of sound.
Why is this dumb thing here? It's gonna let everybody within 100 miles know that we're standing in this exact spot. Does somebody know how to shut this thing off?
Dahren'L, it beeps in your hands.
Would I be familiar with this type of tool?
Yes, you could easily turn it off at this point.
And I'm gonna turn it off.
Probably shouldn't have turned that off before. Oleander, I don't think that's working so well this time. Why don't you come join us? It's a little safer up here.
Well, hold on, Milo. Sometimes, if an enemy knows, or at least thinks they know where you're at, it gives you an advantage for when they show up and you're not there.
I have no idea what you said, but okay.
Layman's terms for you then. This could be a decoy for the enemy that awaits us.
Wait, I'm the decoy now?
Oleander, as you say that, you feel a blade at your back. A failed stealth check, you have the one up. You rolled a 9, it rolled a 7. It prepares another blade at your throat, ready to slash you where you stand. However, you get the first attack.
I would like to spin around with my own psychic blade and... yeah, they're threatening me. Just go for my own throat slash.
Go for it. Armor class 12.
Oh, that is more than a 12. 7 points of psychic damage, leaving no mark.
No mark, you turn around and see this human-like creature covered in fur with the head of a goat, 2 prominent horns, and black unblinking eyes. It's got a crudely made spear and a dagger where your throat once was. You turn around, leaving no blade. It grabs its throat instinctively as if it's choking on its own blood, backs away, standing there, hobbling a little bit, having dropped its weapons. It backs up a little bit. Dahren'L, you turn around, hearing the scuffle. How would you respond to this creature?
Ending his sentence with Milo, he turns around. Well, there goes our decoy plan. And he's gonna shout at Abel. Abel, look behind you. And he's going to advance towards Oleander's position.
Make an attack if you wish.
13.
That is a success.
5 points of damage.
Oleander, having done most of the damage to this creature, it was just with an inch of its life. Dahren'L, you finish it off clean, and there before you lies a dead Firbolg, a beast man of the forest.
Well, I didn't figure you to be the attack first, ask questions later. Hope it didn't have something important to say.
I don't think those kind have anything important to say, but I do think we need to keep moving.
Agreed.
Wait, none of you are concerned that there's not more? That this wasn't a trap?
There are definitely more. This is the forest, and the swamp, and the bog, and they live out here, so we should keep moving.
Pardon me for being concerned. And he makes a very dramatic bow. Please, lead the way.
Milo, you see, beyond the vines, Nurse Regina's home, a collection of 4 huts that are elevated above the boggy and shallow swamp waters on wooden stilts. Each of these 4 huts are also connected by rickety wooden planks, like walkways and gangplanks. With these 4 huts seemingly nondescript from this point of view, you know that somewhere in this location is Coral Master Humessa, and hopefully still intact and alive.
Well, I got you here. Now it's your turn, Dahren'L. Show us what's up.
Well, I'd say we should have a plan of attack. You two seem to be useful in the shadows. I will make myself a decoy with this begin.
Wait, you're just gonna walk in there?
I mean, I'll be at his back.
I'm not saying it's not a good idea. I'm just saying maybe we should try to get a little more intelligence.
I've been listening to everyone's intelligence, and I think it's time for action.
Fine. Abel and I will stand here momentarily and allow you two to survey the land.
Hey now, I wasn't volunteering. All right.
I'll take a quick look for sure.
Dahren'L, as your strike team assembles and moves into place, Milo, how do you proceed?
Okay, Milo's gonna try to go around this hut that's on the top left of the map. He's gonna try to go around and just survey that left side of the compound.
Wonderful. Make an investigation check. Abel, how do you proceed?
So Abel is sticking behind Dahren'L. He is kind of wants to be back to back and is slowly backing, kind of waiting for. Well, it's kind of more back to knee, but yeah, he's in the holding, kind of ready to follow you.
All right, Abel. We'll let them take the flanks to the left and the right, presumably. How about you and I just take it easy and walk up this plank right in front of us just to get an eye level of what is atop the planks.
Abel and Dahren'L, as you step up the planks, you step off 6 feet off the ground, the swamp water locating at your feet. Over to the left, you can see Milo sneaking through the bog, creeping over to the first hut. As you move up on the gangplank, you see that there is yet a shadow of a woman with arms outstretched. You cannot see her face, her hair hanging low past her cheeks. She stands there, prepares to cast a spell.
I'm gonna crouch even lower and put my finger to my mouth and just point, look at Abel and then point in her direction and then back to my mouth with the shush form.
Both of you make a stealth check. You're going for a 12 or higher.
It rolled from a natural 20 to a 2 plus 2, which is 4.
21.
Dahren'L, as you creak behind one of the boards, you find a brush that you pull gently over your body, concealing you from the image of this woman. Abel, as you do so in like fashion, one of your foot goes straight through the gangplank and you begin to crack through the pier, both of your feet now dangling from the edge. The board splashes in the swamp water below, causing a ripple and a disturbance among the creatures of the bog.
I don't think this was made for my weight.
Oleander, amidst this disturbance, how do you proceed in this mission?
Well, I was making my way down to this southern hut. Do I hear that clattering?
You hear the clattering after you have made your decision.
I'm going to kind of pause and use my telepathy back to Dahren'L. Everything all right back there?
We'll see here in a moment.
Do I need to come back?
I'm gonna around to see what the shadowy figure is doing.
She stands there with arms outstretched. Still.
I think you're good for now, Oleander. Continue as planned.
All right. I'm going to keep making my way down, but I am going to send a message to Milo and just say, heads up, we might need to rush back. And I'm going to try to go to this one, and if I can, look up in the window and see what I see inside. If I have to climb up or something.
Go ahead and make a stealth check, Oleander.
Much better. 16.
At 16, as you lift your head up above the window, you see that it has no pane, just a simple open-air window. Inside, sleeping, is a large gorgola beast, this puma, a swamp cougar, sits there snoring amidst a pile of carcasses, foods, humans that have all been consumed by this creature. This appears to be its den, and for the moment, it is purring softly.
Is there a door that I can see for it to get out?
Yes, it's a regular door frame that has been clawed and shredded to accommodate its large size.
So there's not a door that I can sneak around and shut to make sure that our sleeping friend stays in there?
No, there is not.
Well, that's a complication.
There are a few gangplanks that could be, and planks that could be disassembled from the bridge to do just the job if you have the right tools.
I have the right tool. Well, I have a crowbar. I think that might risk waking up. So I'm just going to message back to Dahren'L. Hey, there's a real big man-eating cat in here. So we might want to be extra quiet.
And Milo, as you move towards this hut, you're able to climb up the pier that supports this hut. You see a small opening of slats beneath the floor, and you can hear the scuffle of voices. These Firbolg beastmen grunting and moaning in their language. It sounds like laughter and anger all at the same time. You hear the clatter of a very familiar sound, dice, clattering on the floor. You can hear 3 distinct voices that are, for the moment, occupied.
Milo's going to creep and get himself in a nice hidden position, but hopefully where he can kind of see the others. And I'm assuming that he's at a place now where he can see the witch as well. But he's going to crouch down, and maybe he's going to put his swords away and take out his short bow instead.
You may make a stealth check.
That's a 15.
You hang upside down from the pier, quickly switch out your short swords for your bow, and silent among the cries of the bog, you remain there. Abel, currently stuck in these planks, making a general amount of noise. How do you proceed?
So seeing Dahren'L with his finger to his lips saying shh, he's going to settle a little bit and try and get himself out by pulling himself back up.
Pull yourself back up, and you are about 10 feet away from that female creature. She's still standing over you, her hair in her face. The moonlight seems to cast a shadow, so you cannot see her expression, and she stands there still, with arms outstretched towards you. Dahren'L.
Can I see Milo from my position?
No, you cannot. He is very well hidden.
Peeking back at the woman, she's not moving. He's gonna glance back to Abel and just do a gesture with his hand to silently go around behind him out of the line of sight.
You may proceed.
So curiosity's got the better of Abel. He doesn't want to go backwards. He wants to this witch has obviously seen him, is if she can see it all, and he just wants to know what's kind of going on.
Seeing kind of that look in Abel's face, I relent to direct him, and I'm just going to peer back toward the witch and glance over in the direction of Milo's hut, to see what the range is like.
The range to what?
If I can see Milo, like if I can do a perception to see if I can see him, and to see where he's at in position to the witch, like what's his range. Is he in a striking position, or is he too far?
Milo is currently underneath the hut, so you cannot see him unless you are at the same level he is at.
I guess Dahren'L's just gonna take a breath and, well, Kalon, you send me here for a mission. And he's going to just step out from his hiding spot in front of the witch.
Dahren'L, as you do, she stands there as if to greet you. She does not move. You draw closer, you smell the scent of decay.
Hello there. And who might you be?
She does not respond.
I happen to be looking for someone. Has anyone been through your part of the swamp here recently?
Abel, you can see now that Dahren'L is talking to this creature. With her arms outstretched, she is not responding. Her head not looking up at his form.
Abel takes out a javelin, and from as far away as he can, just starts poking at her to see if she reacts.
As you poke at her, she collapses over to the side and reveals a scarecrow spike that has been rammed, holding her up. Her dead corpse falls to the ground and reveals Nurse Regina, the swamp witch, dead.
Abel shrugs at Dahren'L and points. Move forward.
Communicates back to Oleander. There's something very wrong here. And we have just found the witch's corpse.
Well, that's unfortunate. Where are you?
We have moved straight from our last position.
Wait, you went up the ramps. The ramps we said we weren't going to go up until we had the intelligence.
Well, things happened. Get over it.
Kalon owes me for this one. Do we need... Would you like us to just stroll in and start shouting, hey, we're looking for Coral Master, what's her name? My gracious.
Well,
Or do you want me to keep on trying to find out what other horrible monsters are in these things?
the monster that you found does not seem to be disturbed yet. So it is still likely that we
Despite
have
your best efforts.
an element of surprise.
What do you want me to do, boss?
Be aware, but continue your search.
Oh, be aware. It's so helpful. Got it.
As you move through the swamp water, you can go under the planks, moving
Okay.
on to the third hut.
We'll look in that window as well.
Before you do,
Okay.
I need you to make a dexterity saving throw as you wade through this mucky swamp water.
9.
Oleander, as you're moving through, you kick aside flotsam and jetsam and all kinds of floating objects, but one grazes your leg against the flow, and then it disappears.
I swear if that's a gator. I'm gonna get Kalon for this one.
Oleander, you proceed to the third hut. There are the pillars that you can climb, and this one does have a window. How do you proceed to investigate?
Hoist myself up and look in that window.
As you do, you see a woman with her back turned towards you. There's a pool of blood at her feet. Her head hangs low, and in the corner there is a creature standing on two goat-like legs, fur on its body and a singe of sulfur emanating from its skin. It sharpens a blade, curses an abyssal, and then turns around to the woman with a demon expression on his face and laughs and says, "Are you ready for another trial?" At that moment, you're instinctively able to duck behind the window, and this demon moves towards to inflict more wounds on Choral Master Humessa.
I'm gonna telepath Dahren'L and Milo. Well, found the lady. Think I'm about to do something stupid.
Milo is going to respond by saying, "Well, there's 3 guys playing dice in this one. But if you found the lady, I guess that's where we need to be." And he's going to try to sneak up and past, I don't know the distance here, but he's going to try to sneak past this door and head over this way, assuming that she's over here somewhere. So he doesn't know exactly where she's at. But he's going to start heading in this direction and try not to be seen by those guys playing dice.
Southeast hut from where we started. I'm just gonna start throwing knives if you don't mind. And I'd like to actually, if the DM will allow, pull myself up and hurl a knife at the demon.
And I think everyone should roll initiative again. The number to beat is a 10. Go ahead and call it out.
6.
Hello, Sojourners. This is Jonathan with Sojourners Awake. I hope you're enjoying this short mini-series of the Bookish and the Brave. For me, it has been very fun to explore different characters that live within Bald Top Library. I've had a wonderful time developing this little parcel of land in the world of Bonsarel, and I hope you've enjoyed listening. Speaking of, if you have enjoyed this podcast, feel free to share with a friend who enjoys Dungeons & Dragons or just good old-fashioned storytelling. Remember that we are available on all major podcasting platforms, and you can subscribe to my blog at www.sojournersawake.com for articles on playing your very own Dungeons & Dragons games. Summer has been a busy time for me here at the camp, so I appreciate everyone sticking with me, all the listeners that stay attuned to the podcast even during this time where we don't produce as often as we normally do. I'm looking forward to the fall where we'll have many more adventures to come in the world of Bonsarel. Exciting things are up ahead. And so for now, our story continues. Dahren'L, your instincts kick in. You know that the mission has just changed and reached a pivotal point. I would like to know how you progress. Keep in mind that the map is there generally for combat purposes only. If it's not just because it's on the map doesn't mean it exists necessarily, although it is a rough outline for you to have a terrain idea. The challenges that you face may not be on the map necessarily. Dahren'L, you are first in the initiative. You feel the energy shift towards combat. With the witch's body at your feet, how do you proceed?
Abel, it is time to move. And he's going to dash towards... His best guess is that back right tent because he knows Oleander went to the south and said that the first area that he inspected had the cat, which makes him think that, okay, the next one in line must be. So he's going. Is that a large tree in the middle there? And it's got like a circlet.
It is indeed a large tree, and off to your left you see a boiling cauldron on the left-hand side of the path.
Yeah, he's going to just dash, kind of stealthily. He's gonna kind of move as swift as he can, to get as close as he can.
Abel. To the left, there is a boiling cauldron. To the center, there is a large tree with moss in the middle. And over to the right, Dahren'L rushes. How do you proceed?
So seeing Dahren'L run off and the fact that all those conversations have been in his head, he doesn't really know what's going on. He is going to chase after him with as fast as his little stout feet can carry him.
You follow your leader into battle. Certain noise is carried along the swamps, even with the rushing of the gangplanks. I need Dahren'L and Abel to make a stealth check.
9.
12.
That is a fail, Abel. You attract the attention. Milo, you hear them. 3 beastmen stand up from where they're at and they go to investigate. They do a quick search and they see Abel and Dahren'L. Then they make an attack against you. They launch a spear. They're going to have disadvantage because they're going through those trees. That's an 11. The spear clatters to the side. Another one against you, Dahren'L, with a natural 1. And against you, Dahren'L, 11 to hit. The spears go clattering, but you know that they are now aware of your presence. They're grunting and shouting and moving towards you. And then one of them breaks right and it tries to close in the gap to Abel. A noise has been called out. So a creature breaks through. Rising from his slumber, the furbolg captain, Sakan, steps through the final hut. He stretches his aching body and pulls out a great club. He hears the bellows and the cries of bloodlust and war from his subordinates. He comes stomping on the gangplank, and you can hear and feel the boards shake, Milo. And in his left hand is a staff that is covered in blood, much like the one that is impaled the witch. He hollers out a cry, cuts his arm, and lets the blood fly. He rushes towards you, Dahren'L, and he jumps over the cauldron. We're going to see how well he does. He does a 4. He cannot jump over the cauldron, so he stops immediately in front of it and pulls out a spear, ready to chuck it at you, Dahren'L. At the end of the turn, Milo, it is now you.
Milo sees him, identifies him as the head honcho, and he is going to turn his bow attention on this guy, and he's also going to cast a hunter's mark on him.
Armor class 14.
18 to hit.
Well done.
That'd be 9 points of damage. So he launches his arrow at that guy, and then realizing that those other guys ran right past his hiding spot. Okay, so he's going to flip his bow onto his back, and he's going to pull out his short swords. Probably stay crouched down in case they don't see him.
Very good. Oleander, it is your turn.
I hear the commotion and think to myself, well, at least I didn't start it. And I'm going to pull myself back into the window and hurl one of my psychic daggers at the demon. Do I get sneak attack?
You can bonus action hide. You have to get a 9 or higher. Oh, sorry, a 10 or higher to hide.
Yeah, I'll bonus action hide because I don't have a free hand to do a second attack anyways. Oh, I got a 15 to hide.
You can get sneak attack. It's let's see, 15 to hit.
Only more than 15. It's an 18, and that's going to be 7 points of psychic damage to him. Probably not going to try to stay hidden because I'm planning on climbing through this window and murdering him.
Wonderful. You push through the window. The demon hasn't noticed you yet and is moving towards Humessa with a large blade and just shrugs off a little bit of a twinge of pain in its head. Curses an abyssal. Humessa does not raise her head. Dahren'L, top of the initiative.
Yeah, he's dodging and weaving. as these javelins are just kind of flying past him. And he's going to continue his movement to the door, which I think should put me right at the door. Assessing the situation really quick, he's just going to just spear his glaive right into the demon.
Did you cross the doorway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he would have ran right to the doorway without thinking about the magic, just saw the threat and proceeded toward it.
And what is your alignment?
Based on popular opinion, he's lawful good.
Dahren'L, you rush through in your hurry, and the sign that you pass above the door, a plaque reads, "Only the righteous shall sleep." As you cross through this witch's door, you push past the beads with your glaive in hand, and suddenly the urge to sleep comes over you. Your eyes quickly glance in your peripheral direction. You see that there's a large bed that is conveniently located at the left of the doorway. I need you to make a I need a wisdom saving throw of 15.
I'm a half-elf, and magic cannot put me to sleep.
You have got to be kidding me. Please describe how you withstand this witch's snare.
I would say as Dahren'L enters the room, he glances at the sign and smirks because he saw like a segment of words that was taught to him when he was younger by his parents about the elemental aspects of the world and magic. And though he's not a magic caster himself, he just kind of smirks, and his adrenaline just kind of pulls him through it.
Well done. Do you intend to make your attack against the demon?
Yes.
Armor class 15.
First hit is going to be an 8, so that is a miss. But I'm going to use my action surge to take a second hit. And that is a 17 plus 6, so that hits.
Well done.
So that is 5 points of damage.
You slash through, the demon now aware of your presence. Next up in the initiative, Abel.
So when Abel saw the javelins come flying, he ducked underneath any kind of railing that he could find. And then he hears the stomping of the boots of the captain and sees him with that big spear in his hand, aiming it at his best friend, his only current friend. And something inside him just snaps. And all of a sudden he flashes back to that night where he had that vision of Bertie Cartwright and is on fire and flamed up and just enraged. He tears what little bit of clothing he has left, stands up, takes his big callous hands and attempts to push that cauldron over onto the leader.
Okay. All right. So you go to push this cauldron over in front of the leader, Sakan, and you see as you get closer, he backs away a little bit, and then you see a large hand reach out from the cauldron and grab your own. I need you to make 2 checks, one athletics check to push over the cauldron, and another strength saving throw to avoid being pulled from this strange Frankenstein hand in this boiling liquid.
Okay, so first to push over, it is a 22.
Success.
To avoid being grabbed is a 18.
18, that is a success. This creature grabs your clothing and just rips off your sleeve, and the cauldron blasts over, spilling onto Sakan. Why don't you roll 3d6 damage for me?
All right, 3d6. That is 9 points of damage.
9 points of damage. He succeeds on his dex save, and the railings and the planks begin to sizzle and break free, causing a damage in this bridge, a 10-foot chasm. He does take 5 points of damage, and there is now a 10-foot gap on that bridge between Sakan and you. Currently at your back are 2 of the beastmen. Well done. Anything else?
Nope. He's just eyes red, veins bulging on his arms, belly out.
Sakan is then going to redirect his spear towards you. That's a 16 to hit.
That hits.
The spear goes for 11 points of damage.
Halved is 5.
The 2 beastmen are going to follow in like fashion, attacking against you. Ooh, a natural 20 and a 20.
Yep, both hit.
Both clubs smash you. These beastmen jump up on you, Abel, and they just start gouging you with weapons and fire-hardened spears. You've got 6 spears sticking out of you, surrounded by these beastmen. The other one is going to see his error and rush over, sneaking up behind Dahren'L with a large, crude, bone-shaped blade in his hand, ready to stab Dahren'L in the side. The demon points at you, Dahren'L. Its eyes light up with fire, and you begin to see flames flicker from its hand. He then turns quickly and sees Oleander break through the window, and then decides to make an attack. Do any of you speak Abyssal?
No, but I almost did. Change it to Infernal last second.
I would like you to have advantage on a little bit of this. Dahren'L, given your time of study, and Oleander, your time of study at Balltop, there is a chance you might recognize a little bit of Abyssal. Please go for a DC 18 Arcana or History check. Or Religion.
I did History because I have proficiency in it. Unfortunately, I came up with a 13.
I rolled
Failure.
a 4.
14.
Failure. The word does sound a little bit like fireball. The demon throws down this bomb of fire, and the room is immediately engulfed in flames. I will roll the damage now.
I know that's not how this works, but can I use a reaction to dive on top of Humessa? To try and shield her.
At a cost.
Heroism always costs.
28 points of fire damage to both of you. Oh, excuse me. Please make your dexterity saving throws.
Does this count as magic damage? I have advantage on magic saving throws.
Yes, it does. It is magic. Wait, yes, it's magic.
Alright, good. Because that first roll was awful.
22 is a success.
Oh, that second roll's so much better. That is a... You said Constitution? Dex. Oh,
Dex.
Even better. That's like a 23 or a 24 or some big number.
Wonderful. You must both use half of your movement to get out of the way. You both take 14 points of fire damage, with the exception of Oleander, who must take all 28. And I think Oleander, we know what direction Oleander went.
The monster's flame arising, and he's going to do like a backwards dive towards the doorway.
How much movement is that?
It depends on how big the room is.
Your
But
well, no.
I
What's
have,
your?
I have 30.
So 15. 5, 10, 15. You're on the edge of the plank then. As you move out of that direction, the creature, the beastman, is going to make that opportunity attack against you. That's a 14 to hit.
That's a miss.
Swings wide, flames blast over it. It shields its eyes. The demon, licking up the remains of this fire, looks over and sees Oleander's crisp body hovering over Humessa. It laughs and then begins to speak in common. I will dismember you, so you may learn your lesson.
No, trust
Milo.
me. Lesson's been learned.
Milo, an explosion of fire comes from that hut. 2 beastmen stabbing upon Abel. How do you proceed?
Milo would like to run and jump over the chasm and attack the guy he shot with both swords.
Go ahead and make an acrobatics check for me to jump over. Acrobatics or athletics to jump over that chasm.
14?
14 is a success. You are now engaged in melee range with Sakan, this large goat-headed man squaring off.
Gonna swing two short swords at him. Is an 18 to hit.
Success.
That second one is a 10 to hit. 12 points of damage.
Whoa. Slash and duck. Oleander.
Well, that bloody hurt, and I don't think I want to stay around here anymore. So I'd like to pull my real dagger from my pocket, the one that makes a cut. And if I'm able to slash the bonds on Humessa, scoop her up, and then jump out the window into the water. Because I'd like to take a cool down.
Yes, you may do that. You pick her up, sling her over your shoulder with dagger in hand, and you leap out the window into the swamp water.
Yep. That's all I got.
Knee deep in this swamp water, 6 feet below the burning hut. You're now out of reach. Dahren'L, with your feet dangling over the side near this large tree, beast man just slinging a dagger at you, everything exploding inside the third hut. How do you proceed?
Dahren'L's gonna kind of roll over and pick himself back up, and he's going to strike at the figure right in front of him.
12 to hit.
14.
Go ahead.
It's 10 points of damage.
That's all it takes. Describe your killing blow.
So as Dahren'L has rolled through this explosion, the guy who swung at him, like, he just ducks under him as he passes him. He rolls back to his knee and one leg, and then he just runs his glaive right through the guy's torso, and then retracts it, and then he's going to run around the side toward the swamp. Excuse me, where Oleander jumped out.
Are you staying on the bridge?
Yeah, he's gonna watch from above.
Okay. Abel, is your turn.
So Abel, looking a little bit like a hedgehog with all these things pointing out of him. If you looked him in the eyes, you would see there is no more thought. There is just bestial rage, and he is frothing at the mouth in a bit of a frenzy. And he dropped his javelin to push over the cauldron, and has instinctively reached to his hand to the war pick, and he is recklessly attacking the gentleman right in front of him. 13.
Success.
8 points of damage. And then, as he's in a frenzy, he attacks the other one with his bonus action.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a 15 for the 8 points of damage to that one too.
Slashing at your enemies. Anything else?
No, just he's with his halfling nimbleness, just dodging in between them. But obviously, you can't take the dodge action.
The enemy's turn. You hear a low growl, a purr, and then a roar. The puma emerges and begins rushing towards you, Dahren'L. With both feline feet, it rears back and launches itself to hit you. With an 11 to hit. Crashes over into the side and is now dangling in the trees. It goes for a second swipe at you. This time with a 23.
Yeah, that hits.
With 8 points of damage, clawing your side. Having not knocked you down to the ground, made a meal out of you, it now stands about 10 feet above you, swiping at you from a high point on this tree. The guards then begin to stab at you, Abel.
With advantage, because I attack recklessly.
With a 24 and a 17.
Both hit.
16 points of piercing damage.
Total, so 8.
They're stabbing at you, 2 more spikes, and now they're just grabbing planks, snapping them in half, and sticking you with them. The demon chases after you, Oleander, busts through and lands in the swamp at your feet, and a huge column of smoke erupts as the fire on its skin smolders into ash and smoke in the swamp water. He then raises a large staff to smash down upon your head. 25 to hit. 13 points of damage.
Oleander only has time to look shocked and shove the woman out of the way before the staff crashes on his head and he collapses unconscious.
Oleander, your lights go out, and Humessa is flung to the side, now straddling a log that is floating in the swamp. Miraculously, she lands there, barely conscious. She mutters a word. You can hear inertia and magic beginning to build around her, as if she's trying to say something. And then Oleander falls into the water. The demon laughs, picks you up by the throat, and says, "No, no, no. You'll stay alive for the trial." Sakan, then battling it out with Milo on the bridge, he is going to push you off the bridge, taking you with him. A contested athletics check against you. He has a +5. Oop, drop the dice. An 18. Can you contest that?
10.
Milo, you and Sakan go splashing into the water below as you tumble. He holds you underwater and tries to drown you. Please make a Constitution saving throw.
It's a 9.
A 9. You are held underwater and can feel this large beastman's hands holding you under this icky, slimy swamp water. Milo, it is your turn.
Milo is going to try to stab him with his swords, assuming he still has his swords in his hands.
Indeed.
All right, so he's going to try a couple stabbies. It is a 24 to hit, minimal damage of 6, and the second one is an 11 to hit.
That's not a success. Slashing for your life, you manage to get a couple sticks into him. Anything else on your turn?
But nope. Okay, no, I'm just going to try not to drown.
Oleander.
Is this your surprise homebrew rule for death saves?
Oleander. You splash into the water, the cries of the abyssal creature. Not before you noticed Humessa lying safely on the log, your skin burnt to a crisp. Your lights begin to go out, and then the abyssal creature picks you up, holding you by the throat. For a moment, you can hear your heart starting to beat again, though blood is spilling at your eyes. I need you to roll a d6.
6.
The abyssal creature calls out to you, and then his eyes go catatonic, and you hear a voice from beyond his mouth say, "Hello? Like my servant said, you will be on trial later, so I need you alive." My name is Grast. Some call me Grafson. And I would like to know, if you value life, what would you give for your soul? Where do you stand? And essentially what this creature, this demon, is asking you, what is your alignment?
Chaotic neutral.
How would you reveal that information to this demon lord?
Grasping. It's about time you and I met. Everybody keeps accusing me of working for you anyway. But I don't work for anyone but myself.
Well, then you will have to survive on this mortal plane without my help. Now be gone. The demon returns back to its form, it shaken a little bit, having its mind hijacked by this other prince of power. It loses its grip on you and you splash in the water at 1 hit point. How would you like to proceed? Having turned down a demon prince for your soul.
Look, I'm already fighting a Chronalia for it, so no more deities, please. So I have 1 hit point, so I can move, right?
Indeed you can.
Great. I don't normally let my emotions get a hold of me, but I'm having a bad day, so with a furious primal yell, I'm going to leap up, 2 blades in either hand, and just stab them right into this demon's chest.
Go for
So that's
it.
my action and my bonus action. 15 to hit.
That's what you needed. Yeah.
A less than 15 to hit. 7 points of psychic damage is all that I will do.
You jump up and slash it. And all you do seems enough, yet you feel the tingle of that voice still echoing in your mind. I'll be waiting. Dahren'L, how do you proceed?
Very exasperated at this moment. He's feeling this battle, and he's weighing the odds of success, and they are tipping out of favor. So he's going to use his bonus action to calmly, within himself, catch a second wind. So 14 points of health back. And seeing this cap, he's going to take his glaive and put the blade downside while holding his left hand up toward the cat. He's going to step on the hand of the dead firebolt creature next to him. And he's just going to stare this cat down, and he's going to just jab the glaive blade through the hand to cut it off. And he's going to reach down slowly, pick up the hand, and he's going to try and do animal handling towards the beast by offering a snack.
Okay. DC 18 animal handling check.
Dang, missed it by 1. 17.
You throw it at that moment, and the puma slaps the hand to the side and then turns back at you, enraged.
So close.
Anything else?
What is the range between me and the puma?
10 feet vertical.
Well, that went better in my mind. I'm going to reverse my blade of the glaive back up, and I'm going to hold my action.
Abel, it is your turn.
So as Abel is moving in and out of their legs and dancing around trying to avoid their attacks, he has a moment of just clarity where he starts spinning around with his war pick in his hand, just kind of recklessly attacking in a frenzy again, as he attacks one of them for a 13.
Success.
For another 8 points of damage. And the other one for a 18 for 13 points of damage.
Your pick goes straight through their bodies, smashing them. They plop on the plank and the swamp water. You stand there huffing and puffing with bits of wood fragmented into your body, with your enemies lying at your feet.
It's a good way to end the turn.
And it is their turn. Sakan is first going to attack you, Milo. He's going to squeeze harder. Ooh, with a 24 unarmed strike. 5 points of bludgeoning damage as he squeezes on your throat underneath the water. I need you to make a DC Constitution saving throw.
13.
13 is still a success. You're holding your breath just fine. The demon then is going to pick up Oleander and attempt to throw you into the hut. It's going to make an athletics check against you. It's a 13 athletics check. Can you contest that?
No, I rolled a 10.
A 10. Oleander, you were thrown back into the burning building. You take
Go ahead.
I know,
1 point.
seven-
I don't
seven- I
feel
know,
a thing.
You go smashing through and you lie on the ground unconscious yet again.
Yep.
Only this time, you're back in the witch's hut.
And it's on fire.
The demon then turns its attention back towards Humessa and says, Now where were we? Milo, it is your turn.
He's going to try to stab again. Hopefully he can get 2 this time. That's a 13. Okay, the second one is a natural 20. Does the hunter's mark die double also? No.
Yes.
Oh, horrible roll. Oh my gosh. That's going to be 11 points of damage out of a possible 28.
Oh, man. You go to stick and stab and slashing through, and this creature seems to be excited by the stench of blood now pooling in the water. And then you feel a slippery, slimy tentacle begin to wrap around your feet. Anything else, Milo?
I forgot my reaction when he attacked me, but it's too late for that. No, nothing else.
Oh, what's your reaction?
When a creature larger than me attacks me, I can react and attack them back.
Yeah, that works.
You gonna let me do it now?
Yeah, of course, because, I mean, it all adds up. Yeah, so.
Nope.
Oh, come on.
Dice are awful tonight. That's 12 to hit.
Oh, it's not. With 7 hit points remaining, he holds you underwater.
Ay. Nobody wanted to sleep tonight anyways.
Milo's going to be sleeping with the fishes.
Oleander's sleeping great.
Oleander, it's your turn. It's time for you to make a death saving throw.
4.
4. The fires begin to burn all around you.
Mm-hmm.
Dahren'L.
That cat didn't have a turn. It didn't attack me.
Oh, thank you. Yep.
You know, lawful good over here.
Yep.
Michael!
The puma then launches to pounce upon you. That's an 18 to hit. 11 points of pouncing damage as it slams its body on top of yours, triggering your attack. It's a big creature.
Yeah, I rolled a 12 to hit.
That does hit, sure. Yep. Especially with you under it.
Oh, yeah. 6 points of damage.
This cat likes smashing on top of you, Dahren'L, and it takes its second attack. Its claw attack as it pounces on you with advantage, a natural 20. It does 4 points of damage to you, raking its claws across your chest. Oh, sorry, excuse me. 5 points of damage, raking its claws across your chest. Dahren'L, the strike team disassembled, with Kalan's message still ringing in your ears. Having only a few hours ago you left from Baldtop Library, the sun now begins to rise over this swamp. The creature's chorus begins to change from those night predators to the swampy, balmy day creatures that stalk and feed and create somewhat of a peaceful ecology. Having been the leader of this mission, how do you now proceed?
Not good. Yeah, Dahren'L is just... The thoughts that are chasing to his mind is his family, his responsibilities. He's taking this very personally. Like, even though it was like a ragtag team, he still feels the weight of the leadership role. And he's going to, with his last breaths about him, he's going to pull out one of his hand axes, because he's keeping one of the hands on the chest of the beast to kind of push him off. And he's just going to, with all of his memories flooding his mind, he's just going to start hacking.
Make your attack.
But before he does, I just remembered something. Right before he does, he's going to pull out the scrying beacon, and he's going to fumble with it and turn it on. And then he's going to do the axe attack. So that's 13 to hit.
Success.
And instead, I guess I'll use my disarming attack to push the creature off of me. It has to make a strength saving throw, DC 14.
It scores a 10. This cat rolls over to the side, taking the blunt of your axe damage. Anything else on your turn?
6 to 7 for the slash, and then the superiority die will give me an additional 6 points of damage. So 13 points of damage. In the off chance that this monster misses, I'm going to set brace as my reaction.
Abel, with bits of wood sticking out of your skin, the rage still pumping through your body. You see a small silver disc clatter on the steps, on the planks of this rickety bridge. The scrying beacon is tracking the location of Humessa, the Coral Master. You see Dahren'L being nearly eaten alive by this puma. Milo over in the corner being drowned by this horrible beast master. And then you see a large abyssal creature sling Humessa over its shoulder and begin to walk away. With fire in the distance, Abel, how do you conclude this story?
So Abel is taking big, deep breaths. At this point, he is more wood and blood than he is Hinfolk. His hair, which was sandy and wavy, is just a mess and matted and stuck to his skin. His eyes are larger than they've ever been, bloodshot and just looking every which way. But the only thing that he really has to cling to is Dahren'L, and he sees him underneath that beast. And so with everything he's got left in him, he is going to throw himself at that beast. And with a reckless attack for a 18, he does 13 points of damage. Is it still standing?
Yes.
And he'll frenzy attack again. A 22 for another 11 points of damage. So the way I picture it is as he shoves him off, he just turns around, sees the wolf kind of rolling, and while it's on the ground, takes his war pick and just jabs it into his head twice. And Abel would let out a feral howl.
Once again, Abel, with the bodies of your enemy lying dead at your feet, you take down this puma right before it feasts upon Dahren'L. The swamp begins to get loud with the sounds and the choruses of the morning. The demon slings Humessa over its shoulder, tromping through the swamp, starting to disappear out of your sight, yet the beacon still beeping in your hand. And so for now, our story concludes. Every story comes to an ending, so for now we must conclude. Thank you for listening, Sojourners. Your attention will not go unrewarded, and we look forward to continuing this adventure. If you enjoyed this background music and ambiance, you should visit Tabletop Audio. You can find them at www.tabletopaudio.com. If you like what you've heard today with this wonderful strike team led by Dahren'L, make sure to leave a rating and review on your favorite podcasting platform. This helps other Sojourners find us along their path. No matter how you choose to sojourn with us, as always, may your story continue.